So over 2 years ago, I made a video going over the best custom Sonic the Hedgehog merchandise the internet had to offer. And since then we've talked about other custom Sonic stuff like animations, but now we're to the point where I want to try making Spider-Man videos for this channel. Considering I was able to make a Boy Maguire video that got over 100,000 views, and you guys seem to really like, which I did too, so I thought let's take an old Sonic video I did, and put the Spider-Man spin on it, and go over some of the best custom Spider-Man merch that exists across the internet. But be forewarned, I highly doubt that this video is going to be comprehensive, since when comparing the size of each fan base, Sonic has nothing on the absolute behemoth that is Marvel and Spider-Man, with Spider-Man's source material being over 60 years strong, so chances are I'm probably going to end up having to make a part 2 to this anyway. So please don't yell at me in the comments because I forgot some random dude's custom figure of the super epic furry Comic-Con exclusive Spider-Man. So without any further ado, let's just hop right in, starting with my bread and butter, Marvel Legends. And speaking of Marvel Legends, I want to make it publicly aware before we start that I was recently at New York Comic-Con and I got to meet the boys. Let's start with someone whose work I've seen for a while now, being the Instagram user Pounds, aka 978 Customs. He's been customizing Marvel Legends for years now, and has done some absolutely incredible work. He mainly specializes in doing different suits from all different Spider-Man continuities, and the way he does them is absolutely phenomenal. Most of the time he'll just give a figure a repaint, but he does it so damn well and the figure almost looks official by the end of it. It all just looks so clean and goes so hard. He does an amazing job at doing suits Hasbro's never even done, and even beyond repaints, he'll even add new sculpting work to some figures to really make them awesome. And then my absolute favorite stuff that he does will have to be when he takes other figures that aren't even Marvel and customizes them into Spider-Man versions. Like for example this Jurassic Park T-Rex figure, which he turned into Spider-X from Across the Spider-Verse. Absolutely phenomenal. Or one of the greatest things to ever exist on planet Earth, Nightmare Symbiote Freddy. I mean, do I need to say any more? Though without a doubt my absolute favorite one he did was frickin' Spider-Horse. Complete with Web Slinger, and it's just absolutely amazing. Greatest character in all of the Spider-Verse, fight me. Another Instagram user I want to point out is Red Bolt Customs. Something awesome that he does is he takes Marvel Legends and other action figures and customizes them into his own custom line, known as the Red Bolts, which is pretty much just ultra-based versions of the characters, where they're completely coated in black and red paint, and it goes so unbelievably hard. He's done custom Red Bolt versions of almost every main Spider-Man character, and almost every Marvel character pretty much. Like, oh my god, these things are just so cool. A lot of them don't even really change the base designs of the characters that much, but the paint job alone can make the simplest of character designs turn into utter badasses. Some of my favorites include his Mysterio, Frogman, which goes absolutely hard, and my personal favorite Spider-Man one he made, a Red Bolt version of King in Black Venom. I would vote this man for president if I could. And even besides that, he's done a ton of other Red Bolt figures that aren't just Spider-Man. Moon Knight, a Toy Biz Galactus that he repainted, are some of my favorites, but my personal favorite figure he's ever done is this metallic red Silver Surfer. Like, Jesus Christ, this thing goes way harder than it has any right to. Man, it looks like he's coated in blood. Other than those, though, he's done a ton of other awesome customs, like an updated version of Across the Spider-Verse Miles, since the original one was complete dog poo-poo feces, Spider-Man X Doctor Strange, which looks incredible, and an updated version of Hasbro's Superior Spider-Man, which actually gave him the red iron arms, which appear to be a repainted version of the ones that came in the Infinity War 2-pack with Iron Man, at least from what I can tell just by looking at it. Moving on from those guys, however, let's move on to some more individual ones, like for example this set of all 3 live-action Spider-Man as symbiotes, made by Perrin Customs. These 3 were done phenomenally and look exactly like they did in the movies, with Toby not having any shininess to him just like he did in the movie, Tom's having the veins and details like Tom Hardy's Venom, and Andrew sort of going for his own thing since we never got to see him obviously. This set just goes hard. And I'm honestly surprised they haven't announced a Toby Black suit figure yet. It's a repaint that'll print money. Hasbro should have their names written all over this. Then there's this phenomenal set of spectacular Spider-Man customs by user NoNo13 on Reddit. They look spot on to how they looked in the animated style, and seem to have original 3D printed heads that go perfectly with the retro card bodies. Elektra I think is honestly the coolest one here, since I don't think that head sculpt could have been easy to make whatsoever. Mark my words though, I have a feeling that one day we'll get Legends of Spectacular Spider-Man like we did with the VHS figures for the 90s show. One day, father, one day. After those though, let's move on to some from the Spider-Verse. Starting with this custom Spot, which is supposed to be replicating his effect when he goes on full Spot mode, made by J Customs 2099 on TikTok. It's a simple repaint but done so well. The figure has been completely dyed black, and then given some random dry brushing with pink, blue, and purple paint, matching the on-screen appearance perfectly. And the chicken scratch sort of circles on him just works so well. This looks exactly how I'd imagine Hasbro would do it. Again, Hasbro could just make this right now and just print money. But anyway, yeah, this one just works so amazingly here. Then after that, let's move on to the land of Etsy. As it turns out, there's a whole treasure trove of custom Legends accessories on here. Specifically, many from across the Spider-Verse. I mean, hell, all you need is a 3D model and a 3D printer, and you can make these yourself and sell them. So as you can assume, pretty much every character from the movie who didn't get a head sculpt in action figure form can be accounted for here. Whether it be Miguel, Hobie, Ben Reilly, etc. Like, for example, these little dimensional wrist communicators from the movie, which fit snugly on any Legends figure wrist, and honestly go so hard. It just adds that little tiny bit of detail but makes it so more accurate. A little hologram of Lila to go on the hand of the characters, or my personal favorite, smaller characters that Hasbro never made. For example, Spider-Cat, who's just awesome. And my personal favorite, a full-on figure of Mayday, which is honestly just incredible. It's an absolute crime that we never got Peter B. Parker and his dad getup with a little Mayday on his chest, so at least this can sever the pain of that loss. And very well too, since it looks spot on. All these I showed were from RDJ Customs, so go check out their store if you want any of these. And besides those, some other ones I found were the orange hexagons from the movie, which are scaled perfectly and work awesome with Legends. They're very simple, but if you get a bunch of them, you can make an awesome display. And these were made by Hung Grand Designs, so again, if you want these, go pick them up. For now though, I think that's enough for Marvel Legends. I'm sure there's plenty and plenty and plenty and plenty I haven't talked about, but we'll leave them for another date. But feel free to leave some more in the comments, I'd love to hear it for next time. But for now, let's go to some more realistic stuff, starting with Steven Richter. Now, I'm sure you've all seen at least one of his works at this point, because the stuff this guy makes is absolutely godlike. If you somehow don't know, he makes statues of all different characters and series and people and such, but one of his main breads and butters is Marvel, and especially Spider-Man. Just taking a look at any of these, they're just absolute perfection. They're completely spot on and have absolutely immaculate detail and work put into them. And some of my personal favorites are his Cletus Cassidy / Carnage one, which has this jaw-dropping effect of Carnage coming out of Cletus's face, red tendrils attached and all. This thing is completely covered in grim details and just looks absolutely insane. Then there's this battle-damaged Tobey Maguire, which looks exactly how he looked at the end of the first movie, even down to the exact way his mask was broken up. And then there's this Willem Dafoe Green Goblin to go with him, which is based off his final shot from No Way Home doing his iconic laugh, and having almost every wrinkle and crevice of his face exactly what it is in real life. These two just go awesome next to each other. Then there's this jaw-dropping one he recently did of Tobey Maguire in the black suit, where it's getting completely ripped off of his face, with almost every single slight detail being here and accounted for. Like the Venom head coming out of his face looks like it's actually jumping off of him, and he used actual felt and stitching to make the suit, which he also did on the last Tobey Maguire, but I forgot to mention that part. But yeah, you can't make this stuff up. And as of the time of me writing this, it's actually available on his Etsy shop. All for the low price of $2,900. So if you ever feel like dropping $3 grand on Peak, then there you go. And finally, my personal favorite he's ever done, being this one of Insomniac's Venom, with half of him being taken out and replaced with the PS1 version of Venom, showing the earliest and most recent version of Venom in video games. Such an incredible idea that was just done flawlessly. And something he does that's shown really well in this video is that he shows all these getting made in time-lapse form and breaks it down very well so you can see exactly how these kind of statues get made. Super interesting to see, honestly. This guy honestly just deserves a Nobel Prize for this stuff. After him, however, let's go on to some of the craziest customs I've ever seen, being real-life Spider-Man tech. We've all had dreams when we were 9 years old of being able to swing around our neighborhoods as Spooty Man. So then a bunch of people in their mid-20s with way too high IQs and too much free time made YouTube videos in which they make them into reality. And arguably the most iconic is Jay Laser Video. He's been on YouTube for years now and has done some absolutely astonishing work. He takes all kinds of fictional objects and gadgets from various TV shows, movies, video games, etc., and turns them into actual things that are able to be worn and used. And of course, one of his biggest franchises he does this with is Spider-Man. He's done the classics like working web shooters you can actually swing on, an actual real-life version of the upgraded suit which contracts to your exact body proportions, a version of the MCU Iron Spider which replicates the nanotech, and has actual inflatable iron arms, a suit that attracts liquid and allows you to morph into Venom, a spot suit which allows you to actually have a ball go through the hand and come out the stomach, and of course, everyone's personal favorite, the actual working wall crawlers. We all know this invention from the MrBeast video collabs, where they were used both by Jay Laser, as well as the actual stunt double for Tom Holland, to scale an actual full-on skyscraper. Like, this is just so crazy to see, and it's so freaking cool. Like, imagine being 200 feet in the air, attached to a skyscraper, with two things that are able to get you up. a rope for your safety, as well as functional Spider-Man wall crawling machines. Jay Laser's just a mad lad. And he's even done other Marvel stuff, like Captain America's shield that bounces back to you, or a self-expanding Iron Man helmet. It's just crazy. After him, though, we have someone else who made real-life Spider-Man gear, being Hunter Kowald, and his real-life Green Goblin glider. Originally starting out as a hoverboard invention he made a bunch of videos about, eventually he took it to Times Square, and pretty much trolled the entirety of New York City into thinking the Green Goblin was real for a few minutes. However, given how awesome this thing was, the media quickly picked up on it, and when I say they picked up on it, I mean they picked up on it. This stuff was just everywhere. You couldn't go 5 minutes without seeing some new article pop up talking about the new flying man. It was so talked about that Marvel Studios eventually found him, and asked him to come to the No Way Home world premiere, and they even put him in No Way Home. Yeah, you can actually see him on MJ's phone as she's scrolling through TikTok and such looking for the Green Goblin. What an absolute honor has been bestowed upon this man. But I mean, hell, he deserves it. And plus he was invited to another Tom Holland premiere for the Uncharted movie, where unlike the No Way Home one where he was supposed to fly around in, plans were eventually scrapped and he just walked around and met people. However, he actually got to fly at this one and it was absolutely awesome. What a Marvel legend. Then after him we've got Hacksmith Industries, who used a system of hydraulics and such to make real iron arms. These things are absolutely insane. They apparently weigh over 150 pounds, but it's worth it considering that each one is individually movable. Like, they're fully able to do things like pick stuff up, and even fight a giant poster of Doc Ock. So damn cool. But honestly, what might even be cooler is his real-life Spidey sense, which uses sensors and vibrators in order to give him a sense where a basketball is about to fly near his head. And despite the fact that he's blindfolded and has loud music playing so he can't hear, he was actually eventually able to dodge them pretty well. It's so interesting how people use these conventional everyday electronics and turn them into whimsical things that don't really serve a purpose in the real world, but are just cool to dweebs like us. After him, though, I want to give a mention to Sean's Crafts, who does similar things to these guys, but goes for more realistic stuff, like mainly just masks and a web shooter here and there. But the main reason I want to bring him up is because he goes for more of a DIY approach, meaning most of the stuff that's on his channel is made with random arts and craft supplies or stuff you can find at home. Like with Jay Laser videos, you're not supposed to study for this, and the stuff he uses is highly specific and expensive. Like, you ain't gonna make a DIY guide on how to climb a skyscraper, but Sean shows you how to make a working Spider-Man mask with movable lenses for really cheap and super easy. And even besides actual moving and working stuff, he can just make some really cool things simply made out of cardboard and nothing else. Like, man took a box of Cheerios and turned it into this, like, bruh. Definitely check him out if you want to learn how to make some awesome stuff. And with that said, I think that's all I've got for today. Like I said, this isn't going to be a super comprehensive list, and this is probably going to be a part 1. So obviously, if you guys have any recommendations, it would be greatly appreciated in the comments below. Also, I had to re-record this because my mic settings were stupid and it made all the audio sounds really crappy, so note to self, don't ever try messing around with mic settings when you don't know what you're doing. And also, here's a random tidbit, because this whole outro is unscripted. The day is the 26th of October, and I still have yet to play Sonic Superstars because Spider-Man 2 has been my life. As I said in that community post, that game was my life until I beat it, so yeah, now I'm back here. So anyway, thank you guys for watching, and I'm gonna go watch Five Nights at Freddy tomorrow. Yo, he's gonna be all har, and I'm gonna be like, I put a new fudgies on the...